And President Trump is now lashing out against the announcement of a special counsel now appointed by Biden's DOJ to investigate him. Trump calling it a witch hunt. And joining us now is former White House advisor to the Trump administration. He's also host of America First with Sebastian Gorka. There he is, my old friend Sebastian Gorka. It's great to have you here, Sebastian. First, let me just get your reaction. I understand you were there in Palm Beach when President Trump made his speech announcing that he was going to run for president in 2024. What was it like, first of all, in the room? And how do you think his chances are to be the nominee and to gain the presidency again?
Well, it was electric, Rita. I was there the prior Tuesday to watch the election returns with the president. That was a much quieter affair, maybe 200-300 people. This Tuesday, it was incredible. The ballroom was packed with, the creme de la creme of the MAGA world, maybe 900, 1,000 people, then all the media. And it was one of his best speeches. It wasn't backward looking. It was forward looking. It was emotional. It was about America. He said, this isn't my campaign. This is our campaign, and we're going to save America. As to his chances for being the nominee, look, there is no one in America on either side of the aisle, Democrat or Republican, who today, Rita, could announce, I'm holding a rally in a football stadium anywhere in America, including California, and he'd fill it with 50,000 people. Nobody can do that. Nobody on the right, nobody on the left, only President Trump. And we need him because he would only be able to serve one term, which means he can do stuff that is required to drain the swamp. He doesn't need to be reelected like another candidate would. And he'd finally, get rid of the corruption in D.C. With regards to the DOJ announcement, we should have a special counsel. I agree, we need a special counsel to investigate the domestic terrorists in the DOJ and the FBI, the people who are using the Patriot Act to hunt down parents who simply want to speak at school board meetings, the FBI that is launching 24 armed agents to the house of a pro-life activist father of 7, and arresting him in front of his wife on a misdemeanor charge that was dropped by a federal court. We need a special counsel to investigate Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, and Christopher Wray. That's how corrupt D.C. is.
You left out Hunter Biden, because that is one of the things that even President Trump talked about last night. I mean, he said, wait a minute, this is a witch hunt. And where's the investigation of Hunter Biden? You could certainly contend from all the things we've heard, and especially that 31-page report that came out from House GOP this week, Sebastian. It's really powerful. Some of the things they're saying that they're looking at is connecting potentially the Biden family to U.S. energy interests, China trying to get access to them. And here it is, the sitting president, it's his son. They're trying to see what dots they can connect. Boy, that looks like a conflict of interest. Why is there no special counsel there?
It's not a conflict of interest. It's a national security threat. I still have my clearances that I gained when I was in the White House. If I had a second cousin thrice removed who'd done a fraction of what we know Hunter Biden did, my clearances would be stripped of me. I mean, let's just look at what he has said himself. We know the laptops are his. They've been verified. His lawyers have demanded them back. It's your property when your lawyers are demanding them back. And you've got the voicemails on there and I'll edit this for the viewers because it is Saturday morning, where he says, I'm in effing business with the effing chief spy of China. That's a communist nation. That's a dictatorship. And Hunter Biden is saying he's in business with the chief spy of the communist dictatorship that is our #1 strategic enemy in the world. And his father is the president. Of course, we need a special counsel. We need a prosecutor. We need a U.S. attorney with a pair of testicles to bring charges against this person, because Hunter Biden and the Biden criminal cartel is a national security threat to America.
Where do you see this special counsel going? And I have to ask your reaction to this. I was stunned. Bill Barr came out. I don't know if you saw this. And he was on PBS, Sebastian. And he basically said that he thinks there's enough to indict, that they may have enough evidence to indict. I was surprised that he came right out and said that. What's your reaction?
Bill Barr is swamp. If you don't believe me that Bill Barr is part of the corrupt cabal that runs Washington, D.C. Just go online. I tell all of our viewers right now, and do an internet search on what he did after he left the CIA and how much this man is worth. This man is worth tens of millions of dollars because of what he did after the CIA as a contractor. He is the apotheosis. He is the depth of the swamp. And of course he said that because Bill Barr is part of the problem.
Well, and you know what's interesting, Sebastian, at the same time we heard that, we heard on Thursday actually from the former Vice President Pence, who basically cautioned against the DOJ. So it's interesting to hear two different views. And Pence has not always been a fan of the former president, and yet he said, we have to be hesitant about sort of moving forward and caution the DOJ. So I thought that was really interesting to see. Sebastian, great to have you here and wonderful connecting with you too. Great to have you on the show.
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., the Gorka reality check here on Newsmax. You do not want to miss it. 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
And by the way, I was just about to promote that myself too. You know I was going to do that for you, Sebastian. And again, check it out, as you just heard, 7 p.m. here on Newsmax. The great Sebastian Gorka. Thanks, Sebastian.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the truth. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax. They don't tell me how to think.
They
let me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
for real people.